Do you think Hollywood is all about lights, fame, and dazzling stars? Get ready for a chilling truth. Behind the smiles and those golden Oscars, there are faces hiding a terrifying darkness, real monsters lurking behind the spotlight, leaving wounds that never truly heal for those around them. When the mask of fame falls away, what is really left behind? In this video, you'll discover the darkest secrets of stars who once seemed flawless, where power, fame, and allure become weapons, and Hollywood's backstage turns into a true living hell. Are you ready to face the truth? Hit like and don't look away, because what you're about to hear will forever change the way you see these former idols. And don't forget to subscribe, so you never miss the rawest, darkest Hollywood stories that no one else dares to reveal. Elizabeth Taylor, a symbol of beauty and power, yet a dark nightmare for any man who dared to love her. The world saw her as dazzling, a goddess draped in diamonds under the spotlight. But behind all that glamour, Taylor was the very image of a black widow, hungry for love and unafraid to destroy whatever stood in her way. In the late 1950s, she committed one of the cruelest betrayals in Hollywood history, seducing Eddie Fisher, husband of her close friend Debbie Reynolds, just after her own husband Mike Todd's tragic death. Taylor's cold and relentless ambition shattered Reynolds' heart and ruined Fisher's career and reputation. "She killed my father's future," Todd Fisher lamented. Still, Elizabeth Taylor didn't stop. 5 years later, with Eddie Fisher's life still in ruins, Taylor set her sights on Richard Burton on the set of Cleopatra. Witnesses called their affair addiction rather than passion. 8 marriages, countless secret affairs, and a trail of broken hearts became Taylor's legacy. She tore through men's lives like a storm, ruthless, yet worshipped by the world. Elizabeth Taylor was a glittering predator in a world so enchanted that no one noticed what was swept away in her wake. Stay tuned. Hollywood's darkest secrets are yet to be unveiled. Hollywood once worshipped Marlon Brando as a god of acting, but behind closed doors, he was a nightmare for those who loved and worked with him. Brando possessed an irresistible magnetism, and he knew exactly how to wield it as a weapon to control, manipulate, and wound those around him. For 8 years, Rita Moreno was trapped in a vicious cycle of emotional torment, driven to the point of attempting suicide right in Brando's home. When he found her bleeding, his first instinct was not to call a doctor, but to protect his own reputation. Love with Brando wasn't romance. It was psychological warfare, where anyone could become a casualty. Brando's darkest crime took place on the set of Last Tango in Paris. The young actress Maria Schneider, just 19 at the time, was dragged into a shocking, unscripted scene. "I felt like I was raped," she later revealed. Brando and the director had secretly orchestrated everything, leaving her unaware and defenseless, savoring her suffering and humiliation. A crew member recalled in disgust, he enjoyed breaking people. Even Brando's own children could not escape tragedy. His son Christian ended up in prison, while his daughter Cheyenne chose to end her life. In his final years, Marlon Brando lived in isolation, broken and bloated, a shell haunted by all he had inflicted on others. Some called him a genius, but for many, he was always a monster hiding behind Hollywood's glittering facade. Hollywood always portrayed Kirk Douglas as the very embodiment of masculinity, a dashing hero with a famous chin and a winning smile. But beneath that flawless facade hid a dangerous predator, someone who used his power to break the spirit and the lives of countless young women. The story of Natalie Wood, only 15 at the time, being lured by Douglas into a luxury hotel suite and enduring hours of horror that haunted her for life, remains one of Hollywood's darkest secrets. Rumor has it, Douglas coldly threatened her. "Keep your mouth shut, or you won't live to tell anyone." Wood's mother later confided this terror to friends, but for decades, Douglas's fame and influence buried every scandal. Natalie was not his only victim. A former agent revealed that Douglas treated young actresses like disposable toys. Those who complied were discarded. Those who resisted saw their careers destroyed. Studio moguls looked the other way. No one dared cross a star whose power could make or break a movie. He wasn't just an actor, but a master of deception, one industry insider admitted with bitterness. In the end, Douglas lived to 103, witnessing the memories of his victims slowly fade into silence. But the truth never dies. One grieving family member said, "He lived long enough to bury his sins, but the pain he caused will never be forgotten." James Dean, a symbol of rebellious youth, but also the cause of chaos and pain behind the glamour. Hollywood remembers Dean as a tragic angel, yet those who worked with him saw him as an uncontrollable force of destruction. Even during his early days on Broadway, Dean was notorious for his reckless attitude, constantly making things difficult for his fellow actors. One co-star compared him to a child pulling the wings off flies, as he would deliberately change his movements on stage just to throw others off. For Dean, the only real joy was watching others struggle while he stood by, amused. Once in Hollywood, his behavior grew even worse. Legends like John Wayne dismissed him outright, while Rock Hudson, who rarely spoke ill of anyone, admitted that Dean was hard to be around, rude, and completely lacking in manners. Press agent Robert Mann confirmed he had no respect for anyone. Though Dean died at just 24, he left behind a trail of broken relationships, conflicts, and scars. Hollywood may have built a shrine to him after his fatal crash, but for many, his early death was simply the inevitable fate for such a toxic soul. Dean is remembered as a dazzling icon, but to those who knew him, he was a fallen angel who cared for no one but himself. If this story surprised you, don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss out on more untold truths about Hollywood stars. Joan Crawford was once the embodiment of Hollywood glamour and power, but inside her magnificent mansion was a world filled with fear and haunting memories for her adopted children. Christina Crawford, her adopted daughter, exposed this darkness in the memoir Mommy Dearest, leaving the public shocked. At just 13, Christina was strangled by her mother, suffering brutal beatings with wire hangers and scalding water, punishments delivered with chilling calm and a terrifying smile. The abuse was not just physical. Joan Crawford manipulated her children psychologically, dividing and controlling them, instilling daily fear. Behind the sparkling lights of her film career, Crawford was a domineering mother who kept her children in a constant state of anxiety and unease. Hollywood celebrated her as a goddess. Yet within her home, lasting trauma and silent suffering remained. The children grew up with memories of a mother they both longed to love and feared deeply, never able to escape the cold cruelty that shaped their childhoods. Jerry Lewis was adored by the world as Hollywood's king of comedy, a man who brought laughter to millions. However, behind his radiant smile and hilarious performances was a cold, domineering father who showed little warmth to his own family. Joseph Lewis, his youngest son, once revealed that growing up with Jerry wasn't about love. It was about enduring strict control and both physical and psychological punishment. Jerry Lewis did not hesitate to discipline his children, using his power to impose his will and sever ties with anyone who failed to meet his expectations. When Joseph died from a drug overdose at 45, Jerry chose utter silence, refusing even to acknowledge his son's existence to the public. That cruelty turned a home that looked full of laughter on stage into a place of tears and isolation in reality. While Hollywood honored Jerry Lewis as a comedic icon, his loved ones were left with memories overshadowed by pain and darkness. Bill Cosby was once America's national icon, the beloved gentle father on television, but behind this perfect facade was one of the most shocking scandals in Hollywood history. For over 50 years, Cosby cleverly used his fame and mentor persona to approach young women, promising to help their careers, then using drugs like Quaaludes to control, assault, and manipulate them in the shadows. What stunned the public was that more than 60 women bravely spoke out, but experts believe the true number is much higher, as many victims chose silence, unable to fight the power and wholesome image Cosby constructed. He not only assaulted women physically but shattered their trust, using his fatherly image to make accusers seem less credible or even be blamed. Even after conviction, Cosby denied all wrongdoing, appearing on TV to claim he was society's victim, refusing to show remorse or apologize. His release due to a legal loophole shocked the nation, highlighting just how powerfully Hollywood can shield its stars. Behind his famous show, Cosby's real legacy is a shadow of pain, betrayal, and a faith in justice that has been shattered forever. Lucille Ball, the queen of comedy with her fiery red hair, enchanted America with her laughter in I Love Lucy, but left a lasting sense of dread for many who worked by her side. Beneath her funny, sweet on-screen persona was a woman of icy control, turning every set into a place of unrelenting tension. Colleagues recalled how Lucille would criticize harshly, even publicly humiliate anyone just to assert her dominance. Some people broke down in tears after only a word from her, remembered a crew member. Young actresses described working with Lucille as stepping into a lion's den, constantly wary of every move. One producer revealed, "She seemed to relish watching others fall apart. It made her feel powerful." Even her famous husband, Desi Arnaz, couldn't escape her imposing shadow, their marriage filled with constant undercurrents and never-ending battles. Behind America's sparkling laughter was suffocating pressure, hidden tears, and memories of a woman willing to sacrifice everything, including her own relationships, to remain Hollywood's unrivaled queen. If these hidden truths surprise you, make sure to like and subscribe to uncover even more untold secrets of Hollywood. Bette Davis, with eyes as sharp as knives and a will unmatched, was the blueprint for a generation of actresses, known equally for her talent and for the cruelty she wielded off camera. Hollywood lived in caution of her legendary temper, her biting sarcasm, and the way she used her power to shape the fate of everyone around her. The iconic feud with Joan Crawford on the set of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane wasn't just publicity. It was an actual war, with Davis kicking Crawford in the head for real to assert her dominance on set. Many believe Davis took perverse joy in causing pain. The more frightened or hurt others were, the more triumphant she seemed. This cruelty wasn't confined to the workplace. Her own daughter, B.D. Hyman, described in her memoir a mother who was cold, controlling, and saw her children's emotions as tools for manipulation. Mother wasn't acting in horror films, she was just being herself, B.D. once wrote, bitterly. Though celebrated as a Hollywood legend, for those who truly knew her, Davis left behind a legacy tinged with fear, isolation, and a sense of awe mixed with unease. a true Iron Queen ruling over the glittering world of cinema. Spencer Tracy was hailed as a gentleman, the epitome of Golden Age Hollywood, yet behind the fame lay a completely different man, duplicitous and calculating. Known as the symbol of fidelity and a devout Catholic, Tracy in reality was a silent predator, turning MGM into his personal playground with countless fleeting affairs and frightening power. Colleagues remembered how he used his charm and status to seduce a string of young stars, from Ingrid Bergman and Hedy Lamarr to Gene Tierney, then coldly discarded them, leaving broken hearts and ruined careers in his wake. The supposed fated romance with Katharine Hepburn was in truth only one layer of his double life. Outwardly, the devoted husband, but behind the scenes, an unrepentant womanizer. Tracy never divorced his wife, kept his Catholic image intact, but spent 26 years in a secret relationship with Hepburn and numerous other lovers. Some insiders confessed, he wasn't a gentleman, he was a wolf in pious disguise. After all the glitter, all that remains are whispers of loneliness, deception, and the shattered hearts Tracy left behind in the shadows of Hollywood. Errol Flynn was once the symbol of swashbuckling adventure and charm on screen, famous for his heroic roles and irresistible smile. But behind the glamour, Flynn was a source of fear for countless young women. In 1942, he stood trial for assaulting two underage girls aboard his luxury yacht, a case that shocked America but ultimately ended in acquittal, largely due to the powerful film industry shielding its top star. Crew members recalled his wild parties, always surrounded by girls just 15 or 16, whom Flynn referred to as "my little flowers." Despite repeated scandals, he continued to appear as the heroic lead, starring in patriotic wartime films and remaining Hollywood's golden boy. Yet behind this polished image lay a spiral of excess, alcohol, drugs, sexual debauchery that left Flynn a broken shell of himself by the time he died at 50. The legacy of Errol Flynn stands as a bitter lesson about complicity and the dark side of fame in Hollywood. Frank Sinatra, the king of timeless love songs with a voice that captivated millions, was equally famous for his hidden power and the darkness that shadowed his life. Beneath his charm and sophistication lay murky ties to the mafia, acts of violence, threats, and ruthless retaliation against anyone who crossed him. The FBI kept more than 1,300 pages on Sinatra, chronicling assaults on journalists, intimidation of rivals, and testimonies about how he used influence to silence others. In 1938, he was arrested for seducing an underage woman, but escaped punishment thanks to clever lawyers and public pressure. Some critics and journalists who dared to expose Sinatra found themselves hospitalized after being attacked by his associates. Throughout his life, he existed in two worlds, a stage legend on one hand and a source of fear for those who challenged him on the other. Behind the immortal songs are scars he left on countless lives. If you found this story intriguing, don't forget to like, share, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. Together, we'll uncover even more shocking secrets behind Hollywood's glittering curtain. Orson Welles was once hailed as a cinematic genius, the man who changed Hollywood's history with Citizen Kane. But the higher his fame climbed, the more ruthless, selfish, and obsessively controlling he became. Colleagues and friends recalled that Welles didn't just look down on others. He used razor-sharp words to belittle and mock anyone who displeased him, from actors and writers to even legends like Marlon Brando and Bette Davis. One person remarked, "Orson didn't just eat dinner, he devoured people's spirits." As his career declined, Wells grew increasingly bitter, lashing out at anyone who hired him for commercials, claiming they were beneath him. His angry, harsh outbursts backstage haunted many who worked with him. Once revered by all of Hollywood, Orson Welles died in isolation and disappointment, leaving behind broken relationships and a shadow that few dared approach. If you enjoyed this story, hit like, share it with your friends, drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to join us as we uncover the next secrets together. John Wayne, the rugged icon of the American West, whose strong, weathered face captivated millions, hid a stubborn and often controversial personality behind his heroic image. Wayne was known for his staunchly conservative views, frequently criticizing colleagues, especially Clark Gable. He would side with directors he admired, right or wrong, and was notorious for making insulting or demeaning remarks about those he disliked. Wayne also faced criticism for racist and xenophobic statements, which alienated many within the film industry. On set, he was quick to anger, sometimes over minor disagreements or dissatisfaction with his co-stars. The invincible cowboy persona on screen stood in stark contrast to his rigid, intolerant, and sometimes dictatorial behavior off-screen. That's why, despite his status as a legend, John Wayne was never truly beloved by his peers behind the scenes in Hollywood. Faye Dunaway, the talented and striking actress, once a symbol of allure and fierce independence, instilled fear in many due to her volatile temper, explosive outbursts, and harsh treatment of colleagues. Dunaway was infamous for her perfectionism, chronic lateness, frequent shouting, and even physically attacking crew members over minor issues. Many who worked with her recalled being slapped, having objects thrown at them, or being publicly humiliated on set. In major projects like Mommy Dearest and Chinatown, Dunaway was described by cast and crew as a real nightmare, always making unreasonable demands and showing respect to no one but herself. This reputation severely damaged her later career, as many directors and producers refused to work with her. Though once celebrated for her beauty and talent, Faye Dunaway remains remembered as one of the most notoriously difficult divas in Hollywood history.